Hello there, welcome back to another video. Now, this is a fun video, okay? So this basically is a video where I thought, uh, how would you think which fragrance is equal to which movie? Or if you think about a certain fragrance, do you think about a movie or vice versa, right? Now, why this happened to me is because when I reviewed or after I reviewed Oud Al Lyle, which is a very controversial fragrance, and I told you it's a beast mode kind of a fragrance, right? So I thought about, okay, if I were to relate this to a movie, what movie would come into my mind, right? And that's where this idea started off, and I thought, okay, let's do this fun video to interact with you and say that, okay, these are my thoughts about some fragrances which are, I think, are an equivalent to a movie, and you could probably say name some movie names with your fragrance, and we could make something like that. It's just for fun, right? All right, so welcome back, and you're watching the Perfume Experience. My name is Rodney. So on this video, let's do this. Oud Al Lyle, right? So Oud Al Lyle for me is a if I think about this fragrance and if I were to equalize this with a movie, I can think about Godzilla or I can think about King Kong. Okay, so because it's beast mode in its nature, it's crazy. So it's out there, right? So Oud Al Lyle, Godzilla, or King Kong. Okay, so that's that, right? So we'll do about 10. So this is probably one of them. Okay. Now, let's say, for example, if you're thinking about Aquaman, okay, so Aquaman, what fragrance would you think about, right? So for me, Aquaman would be Megamare, okay? So Orthoparis Megamare, which has got this marine notes, it's got this ambroxan musk, it's loud, out loud, it will annoy people, it is super strong, and Aquaman is that kind of a personality where there's a lot of, energy, there's a lot of sea salt, he's living underwater and all of that, right? So superb, right? Just too good in a way. I would think that Megamare would be the right type of a fragrance what Aquaman would wear, or that's the movie that I would like to think about, right? Now, similarly, if you were to think about Mad Max Fury, okay, where Charlize Theron drives around that road rage, or those crazy vehicles, the modifications to those vehicles and the fights and all of that. If you think about those kind of environment, I would say Safari, Abdul Al Qureshi's Safari. I think that's a fragrance. ASQ's, Safari would be an ideal fragrance in that particular list, right? So it's a fragrance, I think, which is extremely loud, lot of incense, tobacco, that kind of a dark masculine type of a vibe, and I think it would work very well in a location like Mad Max setup with a lot of those vehicles and the warfare and all of that. I think it would be a perfect pitch. I mean, these are just my thoughts. Just let me know what you think about this, right? So that's 3 done, I guess, right? So let's look at another one, right? So let's say Casino Royale, okay, or rather let's say Baccarat Rouge 540. So Baccarat Rouge 540 for me is a cotton candy, sweet, saffron-based fragrance, which is very complicated, beautiful. So for me, this fragrance resonates with romance, and I would say like Notting Hill, or a Pretty Woman, or even The Rain Man, is something like that, is where I would kind of put this fragrance, or that would be the movie that's equivalent to this kind of a fragrance, and I think it would work very well. So if you like romantic movies, and I think this Baccarat Rouge would be a good date night scent. Although we always say that Dior Intense is a very good date night scent as well. But for me, somewhere I could picture Baccarat Rouge more than date night, Dior Intense. But let me know what you think as that, right? By the way, this is an alt from the house of Al Maham for the same, okay? And this is from Muzna, the Safari Extreme, okay? Next, let's look at, let's say, for example, Wolf of Wall Street. Okay, Leonardo DiCaprio, Wolf of Wall Street, lots of money, he's minting money, he's driving the sales team, he's doing all of that, erotic scenes in the movie. What kind of a fragrance would you think that would work well? I would think that Bleu de Chanel's Parfum Edition would be a good option, or is something that Leonardo DiCaprio would wear as the Wolf of Wall Street, right? Something that is super complex, incensey, citrusy, woody, sandalwood would bring a lot of vibe to the place, the way he works, the way he talks, the way he sells. All of that, Leonardo DiCaprio can totally carry this, and this is Bleu de Chanel Parfum Edition, which I think would be a good option to wear for Wolf of Wall Street. All right. When you think about the Hangover, the 1, 2, and 3, the crazy scenes where you wear some, take up something, you do some things insane and you don't recollect anything, I think a fragrance equivalent to that would be Jean Paul Gaultier's Ultra Male. Ultra Male is that party fragrance which is obnoxiously loud, it is crazy, people absolutely enjoy it. Afnan 9 p.m. would be a totally good alternative as well, and I think that's a great scent to be captured in a scenario like Hangover, where you do wild things, you have no recollection of what's happened, and but then you just have a gala of a time, and I think Ultra Male would be perfect, picture to that. Another one would be to think about Interstellar. Now, Interstellar is where Christopher Nolan makes this, crazy movie where you're traveling out into the space and you're doing a lot of those things. What fragrance would capture your mind? For me, it would be Ganymede, because Ganymede has got the same minerally note, the space vibe to it, and the Ganymede being one of the moons of one of those planets. All of those things I think works really, really well with either Interstellar, or I would say that you should consider Martian as a movie where I think these two work really, really well. So Ganymede is definitely Interstellar or Martian. You can tell me what you think as well. Next, let's talk about Louis Vuitton's Imagination. Now, Louis Vuitton's Imagination is a bright, citrusy, sweet fragrance with a little bit of tea note and a little bit of that, green herbaceous vibe. So, a fragrance that's as bright, as cheerful as that, what movie comes to your mind? For me, it is Little Miss Sunshine. It's this little, family traveling in a van, and there's this little girl who does this crazy things, and I think that movie works really, really cute. At the same time, the fragrance is also amazingly good. So, I think Little Miss Sunshine would be a perfect, fragrance for something like Louis Vuitton's Imagination. I think it would work really, really well. You can definitely consider that, or maybe some other holiday movie as well, like The Tourist also could be a good option to consider Louis Vuitton's Imagination. But I think Little Miss Sunshine would be a good alternate for as a good movie recommendation, or equivalent of a movie recommendation for Louis Vuitton's Imagination. So when you think about a movie like Godfather, right? So when you think about a movie like Al Pacino, Michael Brandon sitting, doing the Godfather things, being the Don, being the Mafia, what fragrance comes to your mind? For me, I would say Ombre Nomade. Ombre Nomade is that masculine, dense, mafia, leather, incense, rose, oud, all of that. I think just imagine, Marlon Brando sitting and talking to, as Vito Corleone to his secretary, or that guy Peter, and talking about his son, saying, all of that. Just imagine that scene, and the movie that comes to your mind, I think for me definitely has to be Godfather. I'm not too sure, and I think where I got the reference for this is, I would say that I think Joy Amin's thumbnails also make a lot of these things. One would definitely be Godfather, another would definitely also be Nicolas Cage and Samuel L. Jackson's movie that I'm not able to get the name, but I think that movie also would be Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction would be a great mention as well for a fragrance like that, right? Coming to the last one, let's talk about the last one. Aventus. Creed Aventus as a fragrance, which is considered as the king of all fragrances. If you think about a fragrance like this, what movie would you resonate it with? For me, I would say one of the greatest movies ever made is The Shawshank Redemption. The way Shawshank Redemption works, he's in the prison, he's doing all of those things, and then he comes out of that prison, making everybody look like crazy, and Morgan Freeman playing such a vital role in that movie. And I think the way Aventus as a fragrance has lived through all these years, and so many clones, so many options, so many getaway movies, so many heist movies, all that. But I think no movie can replace a movie like Shawshank Redemption as a crazy, amazingly top-of-the-notch movie types. And I think Aventus is a perfect fragrance that can resonate with that. Hypnotic Amber is a very good alternate of that as well, of Aventus, right? So this was a crazy video that I just thought let's do to connect with you, to understand what fragrances and what movies would you connect to. And if you can share your list of movies and fragrances in the comment section. And if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe and share. We'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Bye now.